Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So once again, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Lisa Masenko at Allied Business Solutions, and we're very excited to share our Fiery Tips and Tricks webinar with you today, which is showcasing some of our workflow automation tools. You'll get the opportunity to learn about how to save time and money by taking advantage of some of these amazing features through our Fiery product. I'd like to introduce Brent Meacham. He's on our Allied team here. He sits in an amazing role as a business analyst and sales engineer. Brent will be showcasing and hosting the Fiery product along with Sean, and he'll introduce Sean here in a moment. So thanks, Brent, today for hosting our webinar. Good morning. Brent, I think your mute button is on. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning to everybody. I'm Brent Meacham. I'm a sales engineer here at Allied Business Solutions. I'm also a Fiery certified professional with over 20 years in this business. So hopefully we can make a series of these webinars to show you more neat tricks and tips to help you save money and improve efficiencies in your print shops. We have Sean with us today. He's a Fiery expert with even more experience in this particular industry than I do. And Sean's gonna walk us through some steps today to definitely save us some time and money. So let me introduce you to Sean.
Thanks so much, Brent. As Brent said, my name's Sean. I'm a EFI Fiery certified cut sheet expert. And what we're going to go through a few different ways to save you guys some time and money today. We're going to talk about paper catalogs. We all know how frustrating it is when you get that paper weight, type, size, and tray mismatch. Your Fiery beeps, your jobs don't print. You have to force print or go back in and see what you did wrong. So we're going to take a look at how paper catalogs can simplify that process for you. And then we're also going to talk about some workflow automation. We're going to look at building an impose template, calling that from a job property preset, and tying all of those together in a hot folder to where you can just drag PDFs into a folder and activate an entire workflow. In this case, to impose a full bleed business card 21 up. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Except it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Well, luckily,
we have a host that knows how to fix that.
Give it another go.
There we go. Alrighty, so hopefully everybody can see on my screen now. This is everybody's quite familiar with Command Workstation, and this is our home for most of our production print jobs. So the first step to go about creating a paper catalog entry is select the tray that you have already set up in your system. Now this could be different based on the different makes and models of production printers. Today we're working on a Xerox Versant 280, so these should all be fairly similar.
And poll the audience just to see.
Oh yes, that'd be a great idea. Let's ask them what kind of equipment they have.
As you know, this paper catalog are on some other makes and models, but I think it's pretty strong with the Xerox. They have it really dialed in. And so
yeah, and then
using
even
a Ricoh or a Konica, you might not have that tight of integration, but we'd be happy to set some time and work with you afterwards.
Absolutely. So even though I don't have any paper loaded, this is my 12 by 18 301 to 350 GSM paper stock. So I'm just going to come over here and say add new media. And now I'm just going to call this BC stock. Because the engine was already set up for the GSM and the size, that's not something we can change. However, if you are working in a color critical shop, this is another neat feature. You can actually pick your output profiles or your calibration sets, however you like to refer to them, that this media will always use. So that just takes one more click away from your color tab when you're actually setting up your job properties.
Oh, so that would come in handy if I had coded on one side and it was rough or uncoated on the other, right?
Oh,
That's correct.
absolutely. For the front and the back, we could actually have
Yeah.
a calibration set for the front on the coded side and a different calibration set on the back for an uncoded side. So it makes it a lot easier to go about setting up that those color settings for your specific jobs.
Excellent.
But we'll go ahead and say OK here. And now we'll notice in Command Workstation that it actually says that this is a business card stock. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in the file that we're going to play with. And just to show, I like to show everybody the type of file we're going to use. This is just a business card test file that I've created. I've used it many times in the past. It's just a cyan square 3.5 by 2 with an 1/8 inch magenta bleed. Makes it something I can see real easy when we're setting these jobs up. And then also, if we're having registration problems or cutting issues, we can print these out and then actually see, if like we're running on a Duplo or a Guillotine, we can see where that program might be off. But just so you guys see what file we're actually going to be working with, that's what we're looking at today. So in Command Workstation, as we all know, there's several different ways to go about importing files. A lot of us just drag and drop files from our desktop into our held queue. But there's a neat feature here in the Import tab where when I pick the file that I want to import, if I have already had presets set up, I could actually come in here and select that preset that I wanted to use. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and bring this file in with our default settings. Now, the first step to setting up a business card file is to impose it. Now, I will say that depending on your specific environment and the Fiery you have, impose may have been standard or it may be an option. So if this isn't something you have, you can always reach out and we can help you figure out if this is some software you should have, or if you like these workflows, we can definitely talk to you about bringing this in and putting it in your environment. So we're just going to hit Impose on this, and this is going to launch our Impose window. For those unfamiliar with Impose, it's actually a really powerful tool. It comes in 3 different panes. We have our page view here, which shows us the actual physical pages from our PDF file. We have our sheet view. This shows us how our sheets are going to print. And this is our settings pane that controls how our pages will appear on our sheet. So for this demonstration, we're going to set this up as a gang up. We want it to repeat. We're going to say that this is based on crop box. And depending on your Fiery model and the actual file system that it's running, certain features here won't work for this workflow. But for most Fieries that have been out for the last several years, based on crop box will work for everybody. We're going to pick our sheet size of 1218. We do want it to duplex. We're going to set this up for portrait, and then we're just going to define our rows and columns. And so for business cards on a 12/18-inch sheet, that'll get us 21 up. We do need to define our gutter. We need to tell Impose how far apart to put these business cards. And then we need to tell it how much bleed we have built into that file. And I'm an old school guy, so I don't do anything other than 1/8 of an inch. We're going to come over here, and as a last step, I like to see my trim marks. That way I can actually take a look at here, see that it is honoring my bleed and my gutter and everything that I've set up. Now, one thing I do want to show you guys, this is a real neat trick in Impose. Doesn't necessarily play into this demonstration, but I can turn on my toggle sheet content. And let's just say for whatever silly reason, I wanted this one rotated and I wanted that to be page 2. Now I can come back. And now I see I have my back is upside down and backwards, and not at all what we actually wanted, but it's a real neat feature in Impose to be able to do that.
This is way faster than if we were to go toe to toe and I had InDesign up and said, do 21 cards now.
Yes,
exactly.
you
You would win every time.
So if you did want to, because Impose can also do booklets, one time I find that when I have to flip these pages around is if you think of a calendar as just a booklet on its side, the back cover always needs flipped upside down. And let's say you forgot to do that in InDesign, or you didn't want to have to take that PDF file into Acrobat and spin the back page, you can always do it right here. So I have my file set up. I have my 21 up. All my fronts are on page 1. All my backs are on page 2. They're all oriented correctly. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to click the Save Template icon. And we're going to call this Business Card Demo. So now all of the settings that I just made here in my settings pane to control how I want my sheets to print, these have now all been saved into this template. So even if we didn't want to take this to a full hot folders workflow, I never have to come in here and set up this business card again. I can go ahead and close this. I don't need to save it. The only thing we were coming in here to do was to actually create that imposition template. So now we're going to come back to my 1UP file. And because we created our paper catalog, I can come down here and select business card stock. And it had that warning error because I don't actually have that paper loaded, but I don't have to pick a paper source. And it automatically said that that's a coded 350 GSM white 1218. So that paper weight type size tray mismatch that we all get is a thing of the past just by having a paper catalog selected for us to be able to pull that paper catalog entry and all that saved information. So now we're going to come to our layout tab, and most of us are familiar with our normal, our gang up, or our booklet, but there's this impose radio button down here. And the reason that's really handy is now I can come down and I can select my business card demo. So now anytime I use this, I don't actually have to go into Impose to set up those jobs that I have saved all my templates for. It's a real quick, easy way to go about taking care of that. So now here in the rest of our properties, we can set this up however you want. Anything that you need for your standard jobs or your processes, you can set all those up. If we wanted to come into our color tab and pick our output profile, anything that you guys do for all of your daily jobs. And because now I have these job properties set up perfectly, including calling my imposition template, I can save a preset. And we're going to want to save this as a server preset so we have access to it from hot folders. But if you're in a large environment, you have a lot of different operators, you can save local presets, and those are only available to that specific instance of Command Workstation. That way, if you only work on certain types of jobs, you don't have to clutter up that preset list with things for the rest of the shop. But we're going to call this Business Card Demo. And we're going to say save. So now our job properties is all set up and it's perfect. We can run business cards from here. And you certainly can stop here if you choose to. But what we wanted to show you is now we can come over here and we can run this application called Hot Folders. And this is where things get really, really automated. We're going to create a new hot folder, call it 21UP business cards. I like to keep all my hot folders on the desktop, but if you had some other location you wanted to save these, we could browse to that. And then also, if you have multiple firies in your environment, you'd have to select the firy that we created the impose template on and the job preset on. But we're only worried about our Versant 280, so I'm going to connect to that. And now we're going to set our job action. What do we want the files to do that we drop in here? If you have one tray dedicated to business card stock, we could definitely do a print and hold. It's going to impose that job, process it according to our properties, print your first page, and then it'll be in your held queue as a waiting job. I usually had a few more paper types than I had trays for, so I like to set mine up to do a process and hold. And this is where it gets, and this is where we call our job properties. I can select my business card demo and OK. And so now here's our 21UP business card hot folder. I can minimize my firy. I can minimize Command Workstation. And I now have this special folder dedicated just to making my business cards. So I can take my PDF file. I want to copy, not move. Uh-oh. I'll just drag her in here. And now I can come back. Oops. That's why it didn't want to work.
Gotta close it.
And so now I can come back here to Command Workstation. And remember, this is the one we first brought in. So that hot folders application is going to ping that folder every 15 seconds. There it found our file. It brought it in. It took it to Impose, made our 21 up file, went back to properties, applied our media type, our finishing, and here it is as a processed and held file, ready to be printed whenever you get that paper loaded and ready. So if you think about the way you're doing things now, somebody sends you a PDF of their business card, you open up you probably have a template in InDesign that has this exact same layout. Sometimes you can actually just go into your links palette and say relink to the new business card file. We all know sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Otherwise, you're setting it up in the upper left-hand corner, doing a step and repeat, and then saving that out as a PDF and importing it. You can't beat the simplicity of dragging a one-up business card file into a folder to do all of that imposition and job presets. And any of the steps that we covered today can be used incrementally. If all you want to do is use the impose templates, you certainly can. If all you want to do is use your job properties templates, that's doable also. But when you tie it all together with the hot folders, that's where workflow automation really, really shines.
So I have a couple questions, Sean.
Absolutely. I figured you would, Brent.
So when you were saving these templates, I saw a question come up, or you actually specified use the server. Always use the server one. Why is that important?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you are doing these workflows, they do need to be saved as server templates. That way the hot folders application has access to them. If this is just a real simple preset and it's only some certain jobs that only you work on in your environment, definitely save them as a local. That way you have access to them in your copy of Command Workstation. All of your coworkers, don't have to, search through your job presets to find the ones that they're after. But when you do start talking about workflow automation, so that the hot folders application can have access to them to build these workflows, they should be saved as a server preset.
And then the hot folders, I saw you always save them on the desktop, but sometimes these print shops have multiple computers or multiple users. Could you create a hot folder as a share, or should they?
Yeah, absolutely. It really depends on your environment. If you work in a small shop and you're the only operator, put them on your local workstation. That's where you have your impose license activated anyway. If you are in a much larger shop, you have multiple people that need to have access to these workflows. We put your impose license on the Fiery server or the file server of your choice. The hot folders application resides there. Of course, the folders are created on that server, but then you just go in and share them and then create a network share or a shortcut on your desktop, and the functionality works the exact same way.
Okay, perfect. So if the folks on the webinar today, have any questions on how I should deploy this, or, I don't have any problems with business cards, I need postcards. Would that be an appropriate use of our time to maybe come out and help them with those types of things? How can they get in touch with us?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, this was just the one workflow that I chose to demonstrate today because it is one of the most common ones. And as we all know, it's the one that usually causes us the most pain. It's a difficult setup. We know it's a difficult cut. Especially if you're using a guillotine, there's some automated solutions through Duplo that really speed up business card production. And if you want to talk to us about this specific application or anything else, postcards, variable data printing is a big one. full bleed, if you want to be able to make full bleed booklets, there's hardware out there now that can help that out. So you can contact us at the connect@allied.tech. If it's just a couple questions, happy to help you out with that. But to all attendees, we are offering a special $300 production print workflow analysis. And I'll call you guys up. We'll actually talk a little bit about your environment. We'll figure out some of the things you want to be able to accomplish, and I'll come on site and then, we'll go through your file lifecycle, where your PDFs coming from. Are you generating them or your customers? What's causing you some pain in those workflows? And go through and dial that in, because what I've found through my career on this side of the desk, and it was true when I was the pre-press also, the workflows that you use right now are the first things you found that worked. They might not be the most efficient. They might have some pitfalls that are fraught with possibilities for errors. And we can come in and analyze your workflow, look at your files, and make sure that the ways that you're processing your files and the workflows you're using are the most efficient and going to give you the best results possible.
All right, well, thanks, Sean. And thank you, everybody, for attending. We do have a few minutes left here. If there are any questions, you should be able to use the toolbar in Zoom, the QA section, to post a question or raise a hand, and we can try and answer any questions here you may have. We can share the results of the poll. It looks like we do have a few
excellent
Xerox users out there.
If you can. Oh, and mixed fleet. Those are always fun.
Like a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Got some integrated fireys.
Oh, I did not scroll. Anybody who's still running 4x or 5x of Command Workstation, I'd love to talk to you guys about why that might be. It could be legacy hardware. It might just be nobody's ever come in and helped show you the ways to make life easier. But I do remember 4x Command Workstation as being a thorn in my side when I was an operator. So if there's any reasons why you shouldn't move forward, I'd love to hear about those, because there's a lot of newer, better things out there to work with that. And if you don't know what version of Command Workstation you have, you can always you just launch your Command Workstation, and then it's either under File or Help, depending on whether you're a PC or a Mac. It'll let you know your current Command Workstation version. And some EXI firies. So if you do have the EXI firies, Impose is an option. That's not something that Fiery includes on that server. If you had the full EX server, Impose is included in that. But it's certainly available. It's a charged option at that point. And then hot folders used to be a charged option on the EXI or the Bustle-based firies, but it's not anymore. It'll work with that too. So it's mostly free. Just a little bit of setup and training to show you how to make hot folders work. And there's really no limit to what you can do with these workflows. Variable data printing, addressing catalogs. There's always a way to improve workflows. What I like to tell people is, if you think something should be easier, it probably is. It's just a matter of getting somebody in there who can give you a little bit of training and guidance on how to smooth those wrinkles out. We all have those files that come in from certain clients that just, as soon as you see that job ticket come across your desk, you get that cringe. Those are people I'd like to talk to, because there's always a reason for that. It could be as simple as getting your customer a better PDF export preset. Lots of ways to go about making your life easier, and that's what I enjoy doing, because it's only ink on paper. It's nothing to stress about.
Okay, no questions have come in. So,
okay.
Lisa, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Brett. And thanks, Sean, for taking us through the fiery tips and tricks today. Lots of good resources and features that really, I think, will save several of you a lot of time if you're out using one of these products. If you're not and you want to learn more, like Brent said, please reach out to us. You can connect with us at connect@allied.tech. Please take advantage of Sean's expertise, Brent's expertise, and our special promotion that we're showcasing for this webinar today. We really appreciate all of you joining us for our webinar today. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thanks so much, everybody.